York has a history of flooding dating back to the late 1200s and can be caused by a number of 4,000 sources. That's according to a risk management strategy by York City Council. But one group is making sure that procedures are in place for any future floods.
Well, within the organisation we have 29 people that are operational, of which 11 are trained up for swift water, rescue, operating in floodwater, etc. on there. That would range between DEFRA level 3 and DEFRA level 5, which is the national recognised qualifications that are required to be able to work in flood and hazardous situations where water is concerned.
With recent flooding here in York, the team have been working alongside the fire and rescue as well as other services.
Got requested to come out during the floods a couple of weeks ago to assist with some of the flooding. We attended, got told that the fire and rescue over in Selby were going to be covering that area, but got asked if we could monitor York because their flood team was actually then tied up in Tadcaster with some flooding in there. Whilst we was in York, we did patrols up and down the river to make sure that as people were coming down to look at the river, they were doing it safely because it's quite dangerous. Got to realise the footpaths are slippery and everything else, and that, so we're monitoring that side and then helping recover some vehicles that got themselves trapped up on the St George's Field car park.
So how is a flood warning alarm raised?
Well, we get a notification to say that when there's certain points along the river that have hit sort of peak levels, which gives a heads up, which then puts a national alert out to say whether it's going to be a warning, whether it's an alert, whether that requires sort of prompt action, so move your vehicles, certain banks are going to be flooded, or it needs immediate action, so that needs areas are going to need to be evacuated because it's going to be flooded within those areas, and that's usually put out both by the weather stations and also by the environmental agency as well.
Knowledge of the local area could make a huge difference to helping someone in need, and the rescue service say that this is something they pride themselves on.
It's even a simple thing, if it's a big enough flood, there's other teams coming in. We have the local knowledge, they may not know streets. I know during the 2015 floods, one of our managers stopped another team from getting entangled with the chains on King's Staith because they didn't realise they were there, they couldn't see them. So little things like that can make a huge difference. We'll have it in shift. If it's an ongoing situation, we have shifts. So a certain amount of people we called out each time. We'll also then step up a welfare team to look after them, make sure that everybody's fed and watered, and it'll be somebody's role throughout just to keep an eye on people. We do anyway, keep an eye on each other.
Knowing what to do during a flood isn't always clear, so what should you do when an alarm is raised?
I think, especially in York, because it happens so often, we get quite lax about it, that it doesn't take much water for something to go drastically wrong. Water hitting as far as you need is enough to knock you over or less. Onto the actually car is enough to make it drift. It doesn't take much more and it's gone.
The rescue boat team are not only the boots on the ground to respond quickly to an emergency, but they want to educate and prepare locals for future floods while promoting safety as a top priority. Caroline Davies, That's TV.